Hello, agentpreneurs, and welcome to episode 64 of the Daily List Report. So, we've been talking a lot about marketing, about how to build your brand, everything around this. There's a lot going on right now. One of the things that we talked about on Tuesday with Mary was this idea that you have to continue to evolve and adapt your message. We are going through different times right now. Your buyers and your sellers have very different needs. Maybe they need to homeschool their kids, or they're working from home and they need an extra bedroom. So you have to update your scripts. You have to make sure that you are continuing to refine your brand so that you can demonstrate real empathy with your customers. That is the best way to position yourself as a guide on their journey to becoming a hero, a home buyer, a home seller. Today's episode is going to be really great. It's going to carry along on this theme. Today I have Alec Hanson coming on, and Alec is the Senior Vice President of Production for loanDepot. He began his career in origination back in 2004, funding over $85 million, and was named Rookie of the Year by the Scotsman Guide. Every subsequent year, Hanson has landed on the Scotsman's 200 originator list, finishing his best year at $185 million. He's got Housing Wire's Rising Star Awards, lots of stuff. This guy is super credible. And what's really interesting about having Alec on today is that he's recently written a book, which is going to be really helpful, but he also brings the perspective of a loan officer to this. And we're going to explore in more detail not only how to be a better marketer, but how to leverage your loan officer partners in your business. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Alec on. Alec, say hello to the agentpreneurs of ListReports.
I love it. Well, hi. It's really good to be here, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Alec, thanks for taking the time to do this. Really excited. I'm going to pull up on the screen real quick. This is the book that we're going to be talking about in some detail, right? Alec has written a book. You can go to alechanson.com. Alec's active on social media as well. All the links are there. And the book that he has written is called Bypassed. Now, this is a modern guide for local mortgage pros left behind by the digital customer. But the reality is that a lot of this applies to agents as well. So, Alec, as we get to know you here a little bit, why don't you just talk for a couple minutes about what are we doing here today, right? Why did you write this book? What are the themes that are happening right now?
Oh, man, there's so much to unpack. And it's crazy that we find ourselves in this COVID environment because it even highlights more the reality of what's happening and the requirement for us to be digital yes. natives. So a little bit of my background that cues into this. In 2003, when I started originating, I was told to go out and get 8 business cards from realtors every single day. And you have to remember, in 2003, nothing was online. The MLS was private. If you want to know what was for sale, you had to wait for the weekend hot sheets in the newspaper to come yes. around. And I would just drive around to meet agents, walk into their offices, trying to find them. And so information was limited. And what's crazy as you look forward to today, information is robust and available. And in fact, what we were talking about a few minutes before just going live here or going on the record here, we've become an internet-first society. When we want information, when we want a service, or when we want a product, we go online.
Yes.
And we used to have to go to the local professional. And as consumers,
Absolutely.
we don't have to do that anymore. It changes all of our behavior. And so I wrote this book because my brethren, the people that I was trained in, were trained in the exact same way. Go build dominant, fun relationships with local realtors that are amazing, and they will give you business.
Yeah.
But today, and fast forward, man, it's such a two-way street now. It's such a new way. It's such a new era. And the sales cycle starts way up here. In fact, a lot of us have given up the top of the sales cycle and let websites and aggregators do it for us, and then just took a seat behind that to get the leads and the business from there, which I think puts us in a fragile place, and we can unpack that too. But man, everything has changed because now we go online first.
Absolutely. No, it's very well said, right? I think that, a lot of people, a lot of agents, a lot of LOs have sort of ceded that territory, as you said, to the aggregators and to others who have done this well and invested, frankly, tens of billions of dollars at this point into building those brands. And that's a really precarious place to be. On the sort of technology startup side, right? One of the things that we look at is not being too dependent on a third-party platform, right? A lot of money in Silicon Valley basically gets recycled through Google and Facebook. And that's a dangerous, precarious place to be, because the moment they change the rules, man, you're done. So, why don't we sort of start here, Alec? One of the things that we just talked about, right? One of the important points here is around how to build a brand. And Alec, just to get your perspective on how I look at this, we've had a number of guests come on the agent side in particular. And what they've said is, look, I built my brand through very deep focus. You have to find a niche. If you're not known for something, you're not known for anything because you can't be known for everything. So why don't you talk a little bit about how our agents should be thinking about building their brands, how they can stay relevant in this world where the portals exist and people are going online first?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first core part of what a brand is. And people have to remember it's not a tagline or a logo you get made on Fiverr.com. Like, that's not your brand.
Yes.
Your brand is the emotion elicited when people engage your picture, image, website, they see you on social media, whatever, however they emotionally connect to that, that's your brand. And so when you understand that, then you understand, hey, there's some key things I probably can do to help curate that brand. I mean, I joke with my LOs all the time, how many customers are Googling you while they're talking to you?
Right, that's a good point.
And the reality is, all of them are sitting there like Googling you, or have Googled you, or looked you up, or poked around and made an impression of you before they even talked to you. And so it's crazy the amount of misinformation around brand. But one of the biggest things is you have to be there.
Yes.
Like, you have to show up, and not in like I spend ads on bumper, bus benches and shopping carts, and I boost my Facebook. But that's not branding. Branding is being authentic. Branding is having your own voice entering the industry about what you care about, what you believe in, letting the ethos you do seep through your words, letting your authentic voice be heard. And so some of it is just for people. Like, a great example is my mom. She's a great Facebook stalker. She's on Facebook, but she's just stalking. She's not contributing to the conversations that are happening in the digital community. And I see a lot of realtors doing the same thing, or I see a lot of mortgage professionals and realtors just humble bragging the whole time.
Yeah.
I closed this loan so fast. I look at this, look at me. And everyone's turned off by that. So, building a brand, I think, is a core competency, a core skill that people need to lean into and realize, I have to create this. It's more work, it's more effort, but the cool part is you get to control it.
You do. Alec, on Tuesday's show, when we were talking with Mary, we were talking about this framework. It's called Story Brand. I don't know if you've ever looked into this, but great tool, right? They have a free website. You can actually build your story brand. But I think the other point that you're making, this is something that, frankly, I've been very transparent about this show, frankly, with our audience, right? This was a labor of love. I don't do this stuff naturally, right? Just hop on and the camera's not perfect. Dude, the audio issues we had in the first 2 weeks of this, where half the time I'm talking and I'm on mute, right? You hopped on and I just asked you about your camera, right? And I'm like, I want that camera, but I can't get it. But the point is, we didn't let that stop us. We just kept doing it. We got on, we have something to say, or we can bring people on who have something to say. And that's part of being present. And I'm not talking a lot here, but Alec, you made another point there which was interesting about the stalker. I can't tell you, you can't just measure the success of these things in terms of likes and comments and stuff like that.
No, not at all.
I cannot tell. We just got today a user research call with a customer who was like, I love that show. I bought that gimbal. I did the Matterport. And I was like, I don't even know who you are. But this stuff gets out there, right? So you have to just do it.
There is no doubt. And I think of it like this, right? Like, life is a networking party. And so you go to a networking party and there's two options. You can be the guy standing in the corner who's there, but you never talk, and that's the stalker. You can be the person there that talks only about themselves, and that's the humble bragging agent who just continues to post about themselves and how great they are. Or you can realize that this whole thing is a two-way street.
Yeah.
And so if you want great engagement, if you want great views, if you want to build great brand, start investing in other people online.
Yes.
Everyone wants validation. You as a sales professional can come into their life on a digital platform and give them validation, give them recognition. I see you. That goes way deeper than an ad you boosted on Facebook.
It's so true.
I'll give you a funny story. So
yeah.
I'm big about birthdays, because on social media they're terrible experiences, because you get this canned BS-y, happy birthday, and the person just pushed a button. They didn't really care.
Yes.
They probably didn't even know it was my birthday because it popped up that day. So they're like, oh, it's like very reactive to me.
Yes.
And so I don't like it. So what I encourage people to do is, if you're good at managing your CRM, everybody's birthday, the day before their birthday, take Facebook Messenger, turn it on camera. I don't care if you're in your car, say, happy birthday. I know tomorrow's your birthday. I just want to be the first to tell you, and I hope you have a great day.
Great tip.
I had an agent do that to me, an agent that I didn't necessarily, wasn't super connected with, but we're on social media together. I'll never forget it. It was the only person that made an actual attempt, besides friends and family, right? I'm going to get those. I'm going to get texts from people that I'm close to, but somebody who was kind of a internet associate who just I mean, it landed for me, and I was like, this is functionality. It's
No, it's
about
great.
effort
It's
and
a
connection.
great point, Alec, and you're kindred spirits with John Cox on our team. I don't know if you know him, but he absolutely hates Facebook birthday things, and he makes a point to either call you or send you a video or something that's very personal because that's your time, right? And I think people have an increased understanding that the only limited thing that we have is our time. So if you've taken the time to do that, it means so much more than just clicking a button. But Alec, to be clear, right, you're not saying don't
Yeah,
have a Facebook page, don't have an Instagram page, right? Is what you're
you have
saying
to.
that you have
You
to
have
go
to.
a step beyond those things and not just buy ads and put stuff out there? Like, what should our agents be thinking about doing who aren't doing these things right now?
This is what's really cool about the space today. There are a million different ways to different consumers. There's a million different ways. There's no prescriptive way of like just copy this and you'll get it done. I have a guy, a loan officer that up in Seattle that runs a podcast on adult baseball leagues. Adult baseball leagues. So actual grown adults that join leagues and
Yes.
play competitively as best they can with refs and systems and money. And everyone knows he does loans.
Yeah.
He's creating human connection.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily care. I mean, you can do a real estate blog. Sure, it might look like a bunch of other realtors' real estate blogs, but if you're super passionate about it, you'll stand out. But I know guys on TikTok that are crushing it, and people think TikTok's this joke platform. I mean, I carry the same weight as this. Like Facebook, this guy's on TikTok making mortgage-based memes, jokes on the platform. He has over 1 million followers. He gets 600,000 views a video.
Oh my gosh.
And I started looking at the comments. And I'm like, oh my God, he's getting business. He's getting business. He's getting leads. He's getting opportunity. He's getting customers. So I don't care if you want to start a podcast, want to go on TikTok, want to do a YouTube channel, want to do community events and clothing drives for kids and like whatever your heart is. But there's so many ways to make community now, and I think the core of it is just make human connection and build human community.
It's a really good point. It's actually a critical point, Alec, that you just made, right? Which is not, first of all, I argue that people are better on video than they think they are. Everybody I've ever brought on this show who's like, oh my God, I'm terrified of this. They do it and they're like, you know what, that wasn't that bad. Okay. But that aside, right? Not everybody is going to make the best YouTube video or the best podcast.
Sure.
And it's to your point, right? It's really about playing to your strengths and finding your community and building those connections within that community. So you have to find your medium. I happen to think video is a really good one. But to your point, Alec, if you want to organize drives or you want to, moderate a community on adult baseball leagues or whatever the thing is, those are opportunities for you to both express who you are because you have to be passionate about the thing that you're doing. Otherwise, people will see that. And that's a way for you to make connections. So I love that. I think that's a really great point.
I was talking to a bunch of agents in New Jersey because one of our loan officers was trying to bring value. So they brought me on, which I hope I didn't ruin it for everybody. But, it was fun talking to those realtors because I was like, do you have an important message? Is your job important? Is what you do important? And I go, yes. And they go, how so? And then they started listing off all these ways that they protect the consumer, how they advocate for them, how they can look out for these pitfalls that no one knows about. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, then why am I on your Facebook page do I see none of this stuff?
Right.
I see, and they were getting pumped because they realized they care. And then I'm like, why on social media right now that I'm Googling you do I see none of this stuff? Like I see fire coming out of your eyes right now and passion about what you do. And I go to social media and I see nothing. And so they say, well, I don't like how I look and sound on video. And I said, no one else cares except for you. You're the only one that cares. And if your message is important enough, you'll push through it. But the reality is they all care about themselves. They don't care about you. You can't. Do you take another agent to do a showing or is it you? Do you stunt double your showings or do you actually show up? Well, I show up. Well, of course you do.
Right.
Of course you show up for those because that's when you're selling. That's when you. So why online would you hide?
It's, what's interesting, Alec, about that, and I think this is something that's hard for people to appreciate unless you do this regularly, which is to the point you made at the beginning. When you said, look, when you're on the phone with somebody, they are Googling you. Whether you believe that or not, it is absolutely happening. So just assume that that's true.
Yes.
And the thing is that their perception of you is influenced in so many ways by what they see. They hit, maybe they're a millennial and Instagram is their social media platform of choice. And they hit your Instagram page and they look at it and there's nothing there, or there's no story there, or they don't understand who you are. Or worse, it feels in conflict with the person that they're on the phone with because it doesn't feel genuine, right?
Yeah.
It takes work, right? You really have to refine all of these things, which is why I think it comes down to really defining what your brand is, writing it down, whether you use StoryBrand or whatever tool you use, write it down and understand it.
Yep. But dude, and you get to control it. Otherwise, it's controlled for you because no brand is going to be your brand if that's just what it is. And so you just get commoditized.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the title of your book again is Bypassed. And I think that a lot of agents feel like that. In fact, the reality, Alec, and we've known you for a long time, right? One of the reasons we started this company was because of exactly that, right? We didn't write the book, but we built the tools because we felt like a lot of agents were left behind because of what was happening in the technology ecosystem. What do you say to an agent in this case, right, who's feeling left behind and frankly feeling overwhelmed by all of the things that we're talking about? What do they need to be doing?
Well, the first part is, where are the people that you want to influence? It's a simple question, but you got to ask them, where are they? And right now with COVID going on, guess where they're not? They're not at all the places that realtors and loan officers used to meet them. They're not at the bars, even though we're going back. They're not at the gyms. They're not at the churches. They're here.
Yeah.
They're on these digital platforms. So if you go, who are the people you want to influence and where they are? The answer becomes Facebook. The answer becomes LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. Then you can get into like TikTok, Twitter, and other platforms. But like where are the real bulk of the people that you want to influence? They're on these platforms. So the question you have to ask yourself is, why aren't you with the people?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yes, it is new skills. Yes. But like, that's good. That's your chance to get ahead of everybody else. It's so much easier than door knocking. So I asked those questions and they realize, okay, yeah, you're right. There are people there. And then it's like, well, then how do I start connecting to them? And I'm like, you just start connecting to them. You just start sending out friend requests and LinkedIn connections, and you start following them on Instagram. And by the way, follow people who are producing content at scale the way you want to and start learning. Because it gets super overwhelming. It's like, I have a content strategy now, and how many videos do I need to be doing? And Gary Vee says I need to post 65 times a day across platforms. And you're like, I can't do this. And then you just have to remind them, you can do hard things. All of information is at your fingertips. They're just new skills. You've learned many skills in your whole life, and you won't be good right away.
If you look at any successful YouTuber, inevitably they have a video. They're like, look at my first videos, right?
Garbage.
Look at the first 6 months of videos, and they're garbage, right? They're absolutely garbage. They're stumbling over your words. The video's terrible. The audio's messing up, right?
Totally. Garbage.
Yeah, garbage. I think that's really good advice, Alec. I mean, that's the honest truth, and it's a hard thing to do. It's an easy thing to say in a sense, but it's also an easy thing to do, which is to just get started doing it. Because I promise all of you listening that it gets easier every single day. I promise you, right? Alec didn't have this awesome camera that he has now, last year. I don't know when you got it, but you start to refine these things, but you can only do that by putting yourself out there and by doing things like this. So I think that's really good.
Yeah, and please, guys, don't make yourself a commercial. We have enough commercials in our lives. Like, what's your core message? What do you care about? Why are you in this industry? What do you want to showcase to people? And I guarantee you there's a list of 1,000 things that line up to that core message that you can be passionate about, authentic about, and just start there.
Yeah, absolutely. Alec, since you're on the mortgage side, what I wanted to ask you is, for our agents out there, right? Every agent's got loan officers, right? How should they be leveraging their LOs? What should they be asking them? How should they be working with their loan officer partners?
It's such a cool question because my background is so interesting. When I started, the whole job in 2003 was to build relationships with agents. And so we would drive around and meet people. And then, they get to know you and they get to trust you a little bit and they get to like you. And then, you try to offer things of value like, hey, can I bring flyers to your open houses? Can I bring cookies and water or sandwiches? How else can I help your business? And then it evolved into, well, why don't you spend some money with me on some leads, and we can kind of co-manage leads together. And so I watched it evolve from just, a pure vendor relationship of just service to now it's like, okay, well, let's do like either an MSA, or we can share Zillow costs, or, we put our finances out and we can co-market together.
Yep.
And I think we're still kind of at the end of that spectrum now, but the real power is breaking through that. And we teach this on the mortgage side, is when you can start handing business back to the realtors of your choice, now you become a strategic partner.
Yeah.
And so the question I always would love realtors to ask loan officers is, what do you do as a loan professional to get customers to come to you? And just see what they say. What are they doing to generate if they just say, I'm buying leads like you, well, okay, that's something. You should ask, how many transactions have you referred to agents that you work with over last year?
Yep.
That's a really hard question, because a lot of loan officers are going to have a really bad answer to that, because they haven't been focusing on those skills. They've been focusing on serving the customer, not generating the customer. And so they're not bad if they don't have that. I'm just saying that now there are so many paths to the customer. There are so many places to meet them and build influence and build reputational connection, that loan officers that are doing that are going to transform their own businesses, because then they're going to have a handful of loans. I'll give you an example. I got a team that works for me in my Irvine office, and they go live on Facebook every single day. They've done it for 2 years. 2 years going live on Facebook for every single day, building a digital community. Last month, they gave 300 leads to realtors. Leads they cultivated, they got on social media, they got through their efforts, 300.
Wow.
And so maybe that's the other side of this, maybe that's the extreme side of the pendulum.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a middle ground where great mortgage professionals are realizing, hey, wait a minute. I have the same skill and tool that everyone else has right here on my phone with social media. What the hell? Why am I not telling my story? And they're going out, and like I was joking about that TikTok kid, and he's 32, 33. He's not that a kid, but it's just crazy that he's just getting tons of leads across the country because he found a way to communicate and build community, and he's crushing it. And so that's what you got to ask loan officers. If you ask them, how much will you spend on my Zillow? I get sick. I tell my loan officers, run away from that person. That's not the right person to talk to. It's how are we going after our own business together? How are we becoming immune from the aggregators and in control of our own destiny? And I think those are the people that you want to partner with.
I think that's great advice, right? So you hear that, everybody out there, right? You need to be going, I'm going to get in trouble for this, right? But you need to be going to your loan officers and you need to be asking them these tough questions, because it makes sense. These are your partners in your business, right? They need to be adding value to what you're doing. And to your other point, Alec, just about the million ways, as you put it, right? To get in front of people. The honest truth is that the tools available for us, not just the platforms, but the tools to reach them are unbelievable. I used to work in the television industry, and even what we're doing right here, and I've got lower thirds and stuff cutting in and out. I'm doing this all by myself, right? Now, yes, I'm tech forward, right? But I'm literally doing all this by myself, pushing buttons on a screen. So, and this service costs like $70 a month. So it's not nothing, right? But for $70 and a phone, right, which most of you already have, you can be doing things like this, and you can go live free on YouTube, on Facebook, whatever. And the other point I wanted to make, Alec, is that in putting yourself out there, as you said, just go do something, is that you learn and you refine that, right? We started this as a live show on Facebook, and for our audience, it made much more sense to be a recorded show on YouTube. So we made the change, right? Nobody remembers that. We just keep moving forward step by step.
Dude, it's so true. Here's a funny goal. So I was telling everybody you had to get on video, or a funny story, and I turned around and I realized I wasn't doing it myself. So I got mad at myself because I'm a practitioner. I'm like, I'm going to be in the game. And so over a year ago, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do 100 videos in 100 days. And I told the internet I was going to do it, and my first video was terrible, and my 100th was a lot better.
Yes.
And then it transformed. I'm like, well, I got all this practice now, and I'm going to do a podcast. And my goal was to do one podcast once a month for 12 months. So 12 episodes. I'm now doing a live podcast once a week, and I'm booked out for 3 months.
That's awesome.
Not because I cracked a code. It's because this stuff compounds.
Yes.
Like what started as stupid videos that were pre-recorded turned into a lot more confidence on the ability to go live and learn new tools. And to your point, like finding other tools and learning them myself. And it all compounds. And so, yes, you just got to start playing.
Absolutely.
And it
Absolutely.
builds.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. You just have to start doing it. And that's what we've been trying. That's the message, Alec, we've been trying to get across here. And there are some tools along the way, but you don't need, as you said, you don't need anything more than the cell phone in your pocket, right? You can literally start today with, as Alec is pointing out right there, I can't show you my phone because it's recording this video, right? But literally, I'm also using the device that is in my pocket every day because we don't want you
Perfect.
to get bypassed.
Love it,
Yeah,
dude.
that's
Nailing it.
great. That's great. Alec, any parting words for our agents out there? I'm gonna definitely pull up your book and talk about it for just a quick second. But any parting words for our audience today?
Yeah, and I hit it earlier, but I'll say it again. You have a core value that's important in our world. And so you need to show up and show the world what you're doing. And so you need to put the camera on, put the light in your face, and you need to declare to the world what you're doing because it matters and it's important.
Yeah.
And you'd be so surprised how many people respond to that. And as long as you do it as the guide and not the hero, I'm talking about that next week too. Like, don't be the hero of your own story. Be the guide in somebody else's story. And so when you're putting out content, putting out your messaging, sharing with the world what you believe in and how you're helping people, as long as you're the guide, you will never go wrong. And we crave authenticity. In fact, it's better if stuff's a little shaky and grainy and doesn't look overly produced, because now I know I'm talking and listening to a real human. That's power, guys.
It. I was gonna bring that up, Alec. I'm glad you did. It's so true. And I had an episode recently where I was showing something and I dropped it, and I was like, oh, oops, and it was genuine. I dropped it. I really dropped it, right? And instead of editing it out, I kept it in. And someone commented, and she's like, yeah, I made this video and I like tripped over a step or something, and I kept it in. Everybody was so happy about it, right? It's
Yep.
so true. Like being authentic. We're just real people here having conversations. We're not in some crazy studio. Like just be yourself. I love that, Alec. That's a great message.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, real quick before we go here, this is Alex's book, Bypassed. I want to call out that all the proceeds go to the Freedom Alliance, which is a nonprofit for veterans. It's actually something that's also very near and dear to our hearts here at List Reports. If you watched our stand-in salute week, we were lucky enough to get Jocko Willink on at the end of that week, which was tremendous. He'll tell you to get after it, right, Alex? So we're talking about get after it, go make some content. So, Alec, thanks for being here today. I really
My
appreciate your
pleasure.
time and your thoughtfulness.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Hope to have you back on soon.
Anytime, dude.
So there you have it. That was great. Really happy to have Alec on. He's got a tremendous background. He's worked with an insane number of real estate agents. He knows what he's talking about. He's putting himself out there. He did this with 100 days, 100 videos, 12 months, 12 podcasts, whatever it is. Find your audience. As Mary said on Tuesday, be the mayor of your own town, right? Make sure that people know who you are. Get yourself out there. So until tomorrow, be safe, be healthy, be happy, and we'll see you soon.